A Safe Streets worker pleads guilty to drug charges committed while working. We asked the mayor if any other workers have committed crimes on the job. Then our team continues to look into the case of a woman's body discovered on this trail, why one law enforcement expert says investigators are keeping details from the public. Plus, how a new law protecting underage witnesses could be slowing down the Brooklyn Day mass shooting investigation.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
Tonight, Fox 45 News pushes for more transparency from Baltimore's Safe Streets program. Despite Mayor Brandon Scott and his administration keeping Safe Streets workers' names private, a Fox 45 News investigation has uncovered one more. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45 News has learned that employee has pleaded guilty to federal drug charges. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has been investigating Safe Streets for almost 2 years now. She joins us live with the latest finding. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mary and Kai, Vernon Harper is the guy we're learning more about. He used to live in Pikesville and in 2022 pleaded guilty to federal drug charges while also working at the Safe Streets location in Brooklyn. And this is just the latest example of Safe Streets workers committing criminal activity, all while the city stays quiet.
The Brooklyn Safe Streets site is in a community hit by Baltimore's violence. According to Baltimore police data, 7 homicides in 39 shootings in Brooklyn alone so far this year, including the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting over the 4th of July holiday weekend. The Safe Streets location is supposed to use violence interrupters who are trusted in the community, trusted to help interrupt violence, prevent more bloodshed. In this indictment, federal prosecutors outline how a violence interrupter, Vernon Harper, was trying to sell drugs. According to prosecutor, Harper, also known as Diddy, traveled from his Pikesville home to Brooklyn, where Harper worked for Safe Streets, in order to sell narcotics to customers. In October 2022, Harper signed a plea agreement, pleading guilty to possession with intent to distribute fentanyl and cocaine.
Okay, and Mary, for nearly 2 years, we have been asking that question. Many people have been asking the question, why has no one been criminally prosecuted for what happened at Augusta Fells? Well, this report answers that question. The IG for Education, Rick Henry, blames Baltimore City Schools. The IG found City Schools Staff Investigations Unit, which did the investigation into Augusta Fells, lacked a written policy regarding self-incrimination, which potentially places employees at risk during internal investigations. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, this lack of a written policy is known as Garrity warnings. Garrity is very similar to Miranda rights that have to be read to people when they are arrested by law enforcement. That is, you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Well, Garrity warnings are like that. And according to the IG's report, there were major concerns raised among local, state, and federal prosecutors because the Garrity warnings were never read to the people that city schools interviewed. And all of the prosecutors refused to pursue criminal charges as a result of that.
Chris, was there anything else that surprised you in the report?
Well, the report has basically, Kai, one recommendation. That recommendation to city schools is to pass a written policy for Garrity. So in the future, when city schools does an investigation, an internal investigation that could lead to criminal charges, that they are covered in this way, because it does appear what happened at Augusta Fells should have led to criminal charges and didn't. What is surprising, Kai, is that city schools to this day still has not passed a policy on Garrity warnings.
Well, making headlines right now, tonight, Maryland State Police rescue a woman after her car goes off a cliff. Investigators say on Tuesday, a 19-year-old woman was driving near the West Virginia-Maryland border when her car went off the road and rolled 70 feet down a ravine. Rescue teams got her out of the car and put her on a raft. Once they reached a safe spot, she was airlifted to shock trauma in Baltimore. Her condition is unknown.
In Harford County, the search continues for a suspect after the body of 37-year-old Rachel Morin was discovered Sunday afternoon. The man who says his stepdaughter made the deadly discovery claims Morin's body was found in a tunnel drain not far from the trail's Williams Street entrance. Tonight, Fox 45's crews are back at the trail with a new message from Rachel's family. Rebecca Pryor is live now with the very latest. Rebecca?
Yeah, Mary, last night, Rachel's family taking to the trail to pay their respects. And as they walked along the way, they also left pieces and memories of her behind.
Beautiful photographs along a well-traveled path, a memorial of memories from the family of Rachel Morin. The family choosing to grieve the loss privately at the place Rachel went missing and her body found. On Facebook, Rachel's sister Rebecca writing, quote, "We as a family walked the entire Ma and Pa trail together as a family in silent remembrance of Rachel." Along the way, the family posting pictures of Rachel on trees and encouraging the public to lay flowers beside the trail. In another social media post, Rachel's mom thanking the Harford County community for an outpouring of prayers, love, and concern, as well as announcing plans for a celebration of life ceremony and 5K race in Rachel's honor. But as the family mourns and remembers Rachel's life, law enforcement continuing to investigate who took it.
I understand many of you want answers, and we do too.
5 days since Rachel went missing and 4 days since her body was discovered. The Harford County Sheriff's Office not ready to release the names of any suspects or details concerning her death. In a statement to Fox 45, the office writing in part, quote, "People using the trail should remain vigilant. This case remains open, and we will not say whether or not this was a targeted act."
Please know we are holding details close to help ensure a suspect is brought to justice.
Yeah, it's a little bit concerning.
According to former FBI agent and law enforcement expert Tyrone Powers, the longer an investigation lingers, the more difficult it is to make an arrest. However,
I think they're a little further along than they are letting on at this particular point. Part of an investigation involves not only identifying a suspect, but moving that forward and collecting evidence in a way that could lead to a conviction.
Powers adding, once handcuffs are on, any cooperation between the suspect and police is likely off the table.
In the field, we always say don't rush to judgment, no matter how much publicity you're getting, because then you may get the arrest, but you may lose the case.
Rachel's family has also started a GoFundMe to help pay for funeral expenses. At last check, it's already raised more than $40,000.
And Rebecca, there have been questions raised about the man who says his stepdaughter found the body. Can you get us up to speed on what you're hearing from the sheriff's office on that?
Well, the sheriff's office is saying that Michael Gabrzeski was not the one who initially located Rachel's body, which is correct in what Michael Gabrzeski said himself. Specifically, he's saying that he was searching another part of the trail when his stepdaughter, Cecilia, was the one who located the body. That's also in line with what we're hearing on a dispatcher call. Take a listen.
Just received a call from a Cecilia who's stating that they have located the Rachel subject on the Monpa going through one of the tunnels that runs under 23.
Now, I asked the sheriff's department to confirm if Cecilia, Gabrzeski's stepdaughter, was the one to initially locate the body, but they declined to comment, saying that identifying any witnesses could compromise the investigation. Reporting live from the Monpa Trail, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. New evidence in the illegal wiretap allegations against Harford County Executive Bob Casserly. The emails uncovered by Fox 45 News showing a request to monitor county officials.
A massive explosion in Baltimore 3 years ago today. How one family is still mourning their loss.
Inflation ticking up slightly, but economists are still celebrating. I'm Atra Al-Nashar to explain, coming up.
And we're still dealing with showers across the state, and we're starting to see a few areas of heavy rain. I'll let you know when we finally dry out and what to expect for the weekend in my Weather Authority forecast.
Making headlines right now, we have an update in the special counsel case regarding the mishandling of classified documents. Donald Trump's valet, Walt Nauta, pled not guilty to new criminal charges in Fort Pierce, Florida. Now, the arraignment of Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira has been postponed because he doesn't have a Florida lawyer. Both have been charged with multiple offenses related to the unlawful retention of documents after Donald Trump left office.
In order to qualify for the first GOP debate this month, candidates must sign a loyalty pledge to support whomever ends up as the Republican nominee. Former President Trump says that means he's likely not going to the debate at all.
I wouldn't sign the pledge. Why would I sign a pledge? There's people on there that I wouldn't have. So they want you to sign a pledge, but I can name 3 or 4 people that I wouldn't support for president. So right there's a problem.
Trump didn't specify who he wouldn't support, but he has criticized former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Both are sharp critics of him. Trump was already unlikely to go to the debate because of how far ahead he is in the polls. He says he'll announce next week if he will participate.
New Labor Department data shows consumer inflation rose slightly in July. 2% annual inflation is considered normal, but the current rate is 3.2%. National correspondent Atra Al-Nashar has a closer look at the impact on your budget.
July was the hottest month ever recorded.
Your total is...
And it turns out prices were a bit hotter too. Consumer inflation last month breaking a year-long streak of decline, which economists expected because it's being compared to an abnormally low reading from last July.
Looking at what's happening right now, this month and this past quarter, inflation has continued to cool.
Some items that are getting cheaper, used cars and trucks, and airfare. More expensive car insurance contributing to a monthly inflation increase of 0.2%. But the biggest contributor, again, is the cost of housing.
Even though there is a robust apartment construction for home purchase, inventory level is simply not there.
National Association of Realtors chief economist Lawrence Yoon expects inflation for rent to keep cooling this year as inventory comes on the market.
The latest figure showing only 8% gain, and in the upcoming months, I think it's going to go down to about 5% gain based on some of the trend data that I am looking at.
It's relief that may not feel like it.
Inflation is coming down, but that doesn't mean that the price level is coming down.
ZipRecruiter's Julia Pollack says were it not for the pandemic inflation surge, prices across the board would now be about 7% higher than they were before COVID. Instead, they're more than 17% higher.
That is not going to move away. Prices are going to be permanently higher than they were before the pandemic. They'll grow slowly, but from a much higher base.
This math is tough on household budgets, but the alternative is arguably worse. Deflation, which is an overall drop in prices, is typically associated with a dramatic slowdown in the economy, like a recession. It's a scenario that's starting to emerge in China and can take even longer to reverse than inflation. In Washington, I'm Atrel Nashar.
All right, time for a check of our weather. Jasmine is in for Jonathan today. Nice to see you.
Yes.
We have a little rain out there, or a lot of rain that's passed by.
Yeah, you know, it's been a little bit of a gloomy day. We had those showers, a few strong, even severe storms, and now we're starting to see some more rain that's moving into the area, some pockets of heavy rain, and that's something that could have an impact on your commute. But currently, over Baltimore, we are still dry and mostly cloudy. Temperature is at 83, but it's really humid. It feels like it's 88 with those winds out of the southwest around 10 miles per hour. So we're drawing in some of that warmer and more moist air from the southwest. Across the state, we're mainly seeing those temperatures in the 70s and the 80s. Of course, it feels much hotter when we do factor in the humidity. Notice on the HD radar, a lot of the more consistent rain has moved to our east, but we are keeping watch on a few spotty showers and some pockets of heavy rain. These will continue to move east over the next few hours. So if you have plans to be anywhere, if you're driving anywhere, this could lead to some wet roads and you may be driving through heavy rain at times. Now the showers continue into the early night and then we stay mostly dry after that. The weekend looks pretty good, but it will be hot with highs in the low to mid 90s. After that, we're talking a slight drop in temperatures on Monday, along with our next chance for showers and storms. Notice on the future scan as we head to about 5, 6, 7, we're looking at that chance for some areas of heavy rain. This does quickly pass, and by about 8, 9, we're back to dry weather. We'll stay mostly quiet and clear overnight. We'll wake up tomorrow morning to a few areas with clouds, but as we head into the afternoon, we're still staying mostly dry. This model, the HRRR, hints at a few pop-up showers for the night, but by the time you wake up in the morning on Saturday, it's looking better with more sunshine. Then into the afternoon, we've got partly cloudy skies, but still staying dry. Again, it looks pretty good for the weekend. Monday is when we have our next chance for a few showers and storms. We'll stay mostly dry for the rest of the week after that. Tonight, our temperatures drop to 67 with clearing skies. Again, those showers do end over the next few hours. They start to taper. Then tomorrow, temperatures reaching the upper 80s and the low 90s, keeping us slightly above average. It won't be as humid as it's been today, but we will see that humidity increase on Saturday. And then on Sunday, still feeling a little bit steamy. Temperatures tomorrow 90, but then 93 on Saturday and Sunday. After that, 89 on Monday with a chance for a few afternoon showers and storms. Rain continues overnight, but it looks better on Tuesday, 89. After that, temperatures will be in the upper 80s and the low 90s. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. Well, the Women's World Cup is back in action. Spain will take on the Netherlands tonight at 8. Watch all the action right here on Fox 45, and you can catch Fox 45 News at 10 on the CW. And then you can catch Japan versus Sweden also here on Fox 45 at 3:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Fox 45 Early Edition will air on the CW Baltimore until around 5:30, and then they will be back on Fox 45 after the match. The city state's attorney and now the mayor say juvenile justice laws are slowing down investigations. Why they believe Annapolis needs to change key policies that are supporting youth offenders. Delays in federal reimbursements are handicapping the city. Fox 45 News talks with a taxpayer advocate about why Baltimore is sometimes waiting decades to get the money it was promised. The city of Baltimore waiting long periods of time for reimbursements to key infrastructure projects. Fox 45's Megan Gillen talks with a taxpayer advocate about how federal funding delays are impacting the city.
A new report shows that Baltimore waited months, sometimes years, to get reimbursed from the federal government for transportation projects. And this means that millions of dollars were delayed being paid to Baltimore City. And David Williams with the Taxpayers Protection Alliance says it could impact future projects.
You mentioned years. I mean, one project, it took 20 years. Let me repeat that, 20 years to get reimbursed from the federal government. What's supposed to happen is that the city, the Department of Transportation in the city files paperwork, and there's different divisions that have to do this, and they file paperwork and they get paid. They're not doing that. And as you can imagine, this is going to affect future projects because the city is saying, we can't front the money. We can't afford these projects. And what we've heard is that money now is coming out of general revenue, is coming out of rainy day funds.
What happens now? How can this be fixed?
So there is a fix to this, and it really is, first of all, put a shot clock on each division within the Department of Transportation saying, okay, you have 2 months to finish the paperwork on this project. The next division, you have 2 months, and expedite the process.
David went on to say this responsibility falls on the Department of Transportation, and if nothing changes, he said it could even impact projects like the Red Line. You can hear that part of the interview on foxbaltimore.com. I'm Megan Gillen, Fox 45 News.
Mayor Scott, one of the many leaders statewide who says youth crime laws aren't working. The growing calls for change to the state's juvenile justice system. A community organization says a former nonprofit leader's arrest points to a larger problem in Baltimore, the fallout from the alleged COVID funding fraud at Strong City Baltimore.
As police search for suspects in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting that killed 2 people and left 28 people shot, there's concern a new law on the books could be hampering the investigation.
That's right. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker joins us live in Baltimore to explain. Maxine?
Mary, Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates, he's pointing to one law that he says might be making it more difficult to get information from the large amount of young people involved in that mass shooting. It's been more than 1 month since 30 people were shot at a Brooklyn Day block party in South Baltimore. Among them, 15 children younger than 18 years old, but still no suspects.
They are every day pushing towards making sure that we hold these folks accountable.
On WBAL's C4 and Brian Neiman show this morning, Mayor Brandon Scott was questioned about the investigation and whether or not the Child Interrogation Protection Act passed last year is hampering the investigation.
This is definitely a problem that prosecutors see. Do you agree with them, and would you like Annapolis to look at that bill, if not just repeal it altogether?
It makes it extremely difficult when you have 30 people shot, or when you can't talk to a lot of the folks that were there, right? We have to figure out a way to protect people's rights and protect especially young people's rights, but we also have to find a way to make sure that we can bring justice for families and do that in the right way.
The Child Interrogation Protection Act places limits on child interrogations, requiring an attorney be consulted when a child is taken into custody and their parents or guardians notified.
Interrogation Act, and I think we're seeing that play out in, unfortunately, the Brooklyn shooting.
While advocates argue it's a necessary safeguard for young people, Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says the law has given more rights to public defenders than parents, in some cases tying the hands of police.
But this is what I don't get. Even if the parent says, yes, we can talk to their son or daughter, a lawyer, and here lately it's the public defender is saying you can't talk to my client. Of course, you know, they're not saying that we can talk to anyone.
They're jealously defending their client.
They're shutting it down. Matter of fact, I received an email from the public defender in Baltimore City, Ms. Capizzello, reminding me what the law was. That's almost waving it in my face.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't do this. So that's the mentality that they've now given to the public defenders in that office here in Baltimore City.
10 top prosecutors across the state tell Fox 45 the General Assembly has made it more difficult for them to hold juveniles accountable.
I think without question, over the last several years, the General Assembly has changed a number of the laws that deal with juvenile crime. And I think that's certainly led to some problems.
They point to the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, which limits children under 13 to charges for crimes of violence, and the Child Interrogation Protection Act as two laws they'd like to see changed as juvenile crime is on the rise. And just this week, one of the top concerns brought up with during a telephone town hall with Mayor Brandon Scott and the incoming Police Commissioner Richard Worley was juvenile crime. Acting Commissioner Worley saying it is difficult to hold juveniles accountable. The mayor and him have sat down with Governor Wes Moore to discuss ways to hold juveniles accountable while also rehabilitating them. Reporting live in Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Maxine, thank you. The former CEO of the nonprofit Strong City Baltimore has been federally indicted. He's accused of scamming millions of dollars in COVID relief funds. Reginald Davis has pled not guilty to 3 federal charges, 1 wire fraud charge and 2 money laundering charges. Now, the indictment alleges Strong City was mismanaging the money of nonprofit clients. Prosecutors say Davis misused almost $1.5 million in federal COVID relief money to cover shortfalls in Strong City's accounts. Peace spokesperson Eurypsy Morgan weighs in.
I think it speaks to a broader problem, which is when you have this huge influx of money that comes in whatever crisis, right? Whether it's COVID or even as we've seen more narrowly here in Baltimore. You know, the city got $641 million as a result of COVID, you know, and that was money they could spend on anything that they wanted, basically. But when you have that huge influx of money, it is critically important that we make sure as residents that that money is going where it's supposed to go.
Now, Fox 45 News reached out to Strong City to find out who is leading the organization now. So far, we haven't heard back.
Well, 3 years ago today, a gas explosion rocked a northwest Baltimore community. 2 people were killed, several others injured. New tonight, Alexa Ashall was there as family of one of the victims returned to the scene of the blast and has questions that linger for some neighbors today. Alexa joins us live in the studio with the very latest. Alexa?
Who investigators say was doing the work that ultimately led to this blast was ever held accountable. Meanwhile, the family of the youngest victim gathered at the site today to honor him.
Circled in prayer, the family of 20-year-old Joseph Graham gathered where the Morgan State University student's life was cut short 3 years ago today, after officials say faulty HVAC work on one of the homes here on Labyrinth Road in northwest Baltimore led to a massive explosion.
Baltimore City 911 operator.
Yes, ma'am. We need an ambulance and police.
Graham was sleeping inside one of the 3 townhouses leveled in the blast. He and a 61-year-old woman who was living in another one of the homes were killed. Several others were injured, and dozens of homes were damaged.
Everything blown out, just blown out. From that house down there, everything blown out. And then all you see is rubble. You look across the streets, nothing but rubble. I'm telling you, it looked like something out of a war movie.
Several months after the blast, the city announced the explosion was caused by natural gas that had built up in one of the homes after a contractor performed HVAC work there the night before.
Contractor working on an HVAC system at 4232 Labyrinth Road, which was a licensed contract, but we have not been able to find any proper permits for any work done at that address.
The gas, investigators say, turning into an ignition source when hours later someone turned on the stove, forever changing this neighborhood and countless families. The site, now an empty green space.
It's just important to remember his memory, to feel his spirit.
Graham's family today bringing flowers and releasing balloons. His mother here for the first time.
This healing journey and process, and I just thought it was important for me to come, so I can try to heal as much as I can. We'll never be all the way healed, but this year is about continuing the grieving process and continuing the journey of healing. That night he was staying at a friend's house because sometimes he would just hang with his friends. So he actually just came from work. He worked at University Midtown campus. So he just decided to stay at his friend's house.
The mother missing her son's smile the most. 20 years old, in college and studying electrical engineering. A young life taken in an instant.
His smile, this morning, just looking at pictures, and I'm just like, wow, that was such a beautiful smile. His laughter, his humor, ambition.
Now, many neighbors were left footing the bill for the thousands of dollars in damages to their homes. I asked investigators if this contractor was ever cited for not having a permit. A spokesperson says they're looking into it. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
He declared it as a one-time thing. Only one person had, observed the actual emails, and it was a snapshot. And if you can see from that email, that snapshot was for the entire length of my term in office. So there were no parameters. There were no reasons or justifications within that email to pull those.
There's new information tonight in the illegal wiretap allegations against Harford County Executive Bob Casserly. Fox 45 News has obtained correspondence between county officials which demanded a speedy probe of any and all emails between County Councilman Aaron Penman and 5 other people. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has details.
New evidence surfacing in the privacy debate between branches of Harford County government. Fox 45 News obtaining this email between 2 Harford County officials. Dated May 30th, I'm requesting any and all emails that Aaron Penman may have received to his Harford County government email box from the below individuals. The email says, listing 5 names, including Harford County Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor and former Harford County Executive Barry Glassman. If I could get this information as soon as possible, that would be greatly appreciated.
He overreached his authority.
Today, the councilman at the center of that probe, telling Fox 45 News this is the evidence he received, prompting his allegations that the county executive illegally monitored his communications, accusing him of spying on another branch of government. Penman and Casserly entangled in a very public political spat after the councilman accused the county executive's office of misusing money.
A claim that we've misappropriated $7 million is a pretty serious allegation. So my administration started investigating that.
In an exclusive interview with Fox 45 last week, Harford County Executive Bob Casserly shared his side.
All email servers are county property and they're subject to review. by county officials. So that's what was done. It was a one-time snapshot.
Casserly claims what went on was legal and allowed.
There's no basis for anything, the complaints, the allegations of impropriety.
So you stand firm that there was nothing illegal done here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing illegal done here.
He declared it as a one-time thing. Only one person had, observed the actual emails, and it was a snapshot. And if you can see from that email, that snapshot was for the entire length of my term in office.
Today, Fox 45 News questioning Casserly's office about that directive, requesting any and all of Penman's emails. There was a one-time review of emails, and a total of 5 emails were reviewed. The county executive's office said in a statement, saying all of the emails searched are public record, subject to Freedom of Information Act requests. Once they were reviewed in private by a single individual and found to contain nothing related to the alleged misappropriation, they were destroyed. The content was never disclosed to the county executive. But this privacy debate is already having a ripple effect elsewhere.
I was deeply disturbed when I first heard about it.
In neighboring Baltimore County, County Council Chairman Julian Jones watching closely to see how things unfold.
And I think it's not a good idea and certainly unethical for the executive branch to spy on or rummage through emails of the legislative branch.
Baltimore County government and County Council communications also share a server. Today, a spokesperson for Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski telling Fox 45 News the administration does not engage in the practice of searching council members' correspondence. Regardless, Jones says what's happening in Harford County is prompting action to protect privacy.
Protect the legislative branch from the executive branch. We don't have anything in place, and we're taking a look at that now.
Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Today's strong reaction over a Project Baltimore investigation that exposed how the state superintendent of schools is using a hidden email address. Last week, Project Baltimore first reported on this heavily redacted email. One of the redactions included State Superintendent Mohammed Chowdhury's email address. Project Baltimore challenged that redaction and wrote back asking MSDE for the specific law that allowed for this. MSDE responded by removing the redaction, saying the email was inadvertently redacted. When the redaction was removed, it revealed a hidden secondary email used by the superintendent. Now, some say this lack of transparency is concerning. So far, no lawmakers or anyone in Annapolis has commented, but a local radio station is saying action needs to be taken.
To me, Annapolis, state legislators should be concerned about this. And the reason they're not is because they want Kerwin or bust. It's not, he's a vehicle. Chowdhury's just a vehicle to get to the end of what they want. And to me, that is not serving the parents, not serving taxpayers well at all. There should be a hearing.
Well, the redacted emails from MSDE are only part of Project Baltimore's investigation into the Maryland State Department of Education. Early this week, we told you about 98 text messages sent or received by the state superintendent that were deleted, which could be a violation of state law. Who, if anyone, will look into this? We have that part of the investigation in the coming days.
Generation X feeling the stress. I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C. While the generation sandwiched between millennials and boomers may be more stressed out than other generations.
And we're seeing areas of heavy rain currently moving across the state. I'll let you know when the rain finally ends and if we'll see showers this weekend in my full forecast.
New reports show Generation X is feeling the most economic stress out of any adult age group. The National Desk Angela Brown joins us now with why so many are concerned about the economy.
If you're Gen X, then you're probably 43 to 58, coming of age during the dot-com bubble burst, then living through the Great Recession, now elevated inflation, building up into stress. Gen X, now considered the sandwich generation, taking care of kids on one end, aging parents on the other. Stress that may be piling up during peak earning years.
Juggling household budgets, they're also working, they're trying to save for retirement.
A number of studies are looking into the mental health of Gen X more than any other generation. 60% of Gen Xers say money has a negative impact on their mental health, according to Bankrate,
which is up significantly from last year when we did this study, where only 46% reported that.
New York Life looked at how Gen Xers stack up to other generations when it comes to managing debt. 28% of Gen Xers feel less able to manage that debt, higher than any other generation. Career specialist Julie Balke.
So they're trying to figure out, do I try to stay on a corporate track? Does it make sense at this time?
Gen X also more likely to say they're not confident in their ability to meet their financial goals, and changing jobs can be risky at this point.
Maybe I'm in my early 50s, late 40s, mid 50s. Do I have enough runway left to pivot and do something else?
Retirement getting closer, and millions of Gen Xers have little saved. This report from the National Institute on Retirement Security found a typical household has only $40,000 in retirement savings. But financial experts say it's not too late to build that nest egg. You can, for one, start pouring more money into your retirement savings, like a 401k plan, or possibly cut back on vacations or even some of those subscriptions and put that money into your retirement plan. Reporting in Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
We are still dealing with rain across the state, and right now we're seeing some clusters of heavy rain. There is the chance for gusty winds 30 to 35 miles per hour as these showers continue to move toward the east. If you'll be out over the next few hours, make sure that you have the rain gear handy and keep watch on the radar if you'll be driving. This heavy rain could lead to wet roads and possibly impacts on your drive. 83 for the current temperature over Baltimore, and still mostly cloudy here, but those clouds are starting to get a little darker as we get ready for that rain. Across the state, we're seeing temperatures in the 70s and the 80s. 80 in Annapolis, 77 in Westminster, 76 in Elkton. Not too bad for those temperatures, but again, you will want the rain gear over the next few hours as we deal with showers. These do taper tonight, and then we'll be left with mostly dry weather over the weekend, along with hot temperatures with highs in the low to mid 90s. Then on Monday, we have our next round of showers and storms on the way. So notice on the future scan this evening, we are looking at the chance for some spots of heavy rain along with those gusty winds. We're really not seeing much in terms of thunder and lightning, but still make sure that you are keeping watch on the radar. As we head into the night, we start to clear out, and it's looking good for tomorrow morning. We start with dry weather, then into the afternoon, still keeping things dry with temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s. This model hints at a few stray showers overnight, but these do clear by Saturday morning, and then we're looking at a dry forecast as we move into the afternoon. After that, it looks pretty good for Sunday, dry weather again, but on Monday, we have that chance for showers and storms. We're not looking at a washout for the day. These mainly arrive in the afternoon, continuing overnight. We'll stay mostly dry for the rest of the week, with just slight chances for showers on Tuesday and Thursday. 67 for the low temperature with clearing skies. Then tomorrow, our highs gradually rise to the upper 80s and the low 90s, keeping us above average for this time of year. Fortunately, behind our cold front, it won't feel too humid. We're keeping things nice and comfortable, but as we move into the rest of the weekend, you'll notice that it does feel a little more humid. 93 for the high on Saturday, 93 again on Sunday. Then our temperatures closer to average on Monday, 89 with a chance for a few showers and storms, 89 on Tuesday, 87 on Wednesday. Then for Thursday, temperatures return to the low 90s. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, COVID cases are rising again. Here's the question. Should you get a vaccine now or wait? You'll hear from experts. Also, stopping babies from dying in dangerous crib sleepers and more. The bans the government just issued on certain types of baby products. There are new rules aimed at keeping your children safe. The Consumer Product Safety Commission releases new regulations on key baby items like cribs, strollers, and more. Dee Gatton has details on what parents need to know.
Certain inclined sleepers for infants and crib bumpers are banned in the U.S. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the rules intend to save infants' lives. The bans were established in the Safe Sleep for Babies Act, which prohibits not only the sale, but also the manufacture for sale, distribution, or importation of these products into the U.S. The commission voted to issue final rules to codify the bans.
We really think about it. Every danger, every possible could happen. Even if I didn't, even if they didn't have those sleepers or whatever, anywhere they sleep, we are concerned parents, and we always want to make sure that our kids are okay. So for someone to assume one thing, is the problem, somehow there are other many things that are not safe.
You may have heard of the products we're talking about. Earlier this year, Fisher-Price re-announced the recall of this sleeper, linked to at least 100 infant deaths. Until their first birthday, babies should sleep on their backs in their own sleep space on a firm sleep surface, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Dee Gatton.
We're currently dealing with areas of heavy rain, but it looks much better for the weekend. Tomorrow, we'll have temperatures around 90. It won't be too humid, but this does change on Saturday and Sunday. You'll notice hotter and more humid weather on Saturday, highs around 93. Then we're looking at plenty of sunshine as the weekend ends on Sunday. Temperatures again around 93. And then for the upcoming week, the chance for more showers and storms. I'll let you know the timing of the rain coming up in my full forecast in about 20 minutes. Back to you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, there are talks about moving the running of the Preakness Stakes. What we know about the proposal to give the horses more recovery time. And 2 years after Fox 45 News exposed a grade and enrollment changing scheme inside a West Baltimore school, the state is out with its investigation.
Hi.
Breaking news tonight. The state concludes its investigation into a grade and enrollment changing scheme inside a West Baltimore school. Why no one is being charged.
You can see from that email, that snapshot was for the entire length of my term in office.
New details tonight in the illegal wiretap allegations against Harford County Executive Bob Casserly, the new emails between two Harford County government officials that have come to light.
Please know we are holding details close to help ensure a suspect is brought to justice.
A woman found murdered on a popular trail in Harford County. Fox 45 News is live on the scene with the search for her killer.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
Fox 45 News is on top of three big stories right now. 2 years after our Project Baltimore team uncovered inflated enrollment numbers inside a West Baltimore high school, the state has wrapped up its investigation. Why no one is facing charges.
Using ex-convicts to fight crime. Tonight, our latest revelation about Safe Streets workers and the case involving one of them committing crime while on the job.
And more questions than answers after the body of a woman is found in Harford County over the weekend. The question tonight: who killed Rachel Morin?
In the field, we always say don't rush to judgment, no matter how much publicity you're getting, because then you may get the arrest, but you may lose the case.
Chris Papps, Mackenzie Frost, and Rebecca Pryor have the full details of these three big stories. We have breaking developments tonight in our story. Our Project Baltimore team first brought to light. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala, Maryland's Inspector General for Education, just hours ago releasing the latest report into Augusta Fells. It is a West Baltimore high school that 2 years ago was caught up in a major scandal when Project Baltimore exposed a scheme to change grades and inflate enrollment.
After Fox 45 broke this story, Baltimore City Schools released its own investigation and confirmed everything Project Baltimore reported on Augusta Fells. Now, the school system even said 4 people were implicated for their roles in the scheme.
But now we are hearing from the IG for Education about why no one has been criminally charged in this case.
Project Baltimore's Chris Papps is here right now. He's read that report. Chris, what are your takeaways after reading it?
Well, for nearly 2 years, we've been asking this question. So why have there been no criminal charges? Why has no one been prosecuted criminally for what happened at Augusta Fells? But this report does answer that question. The IG for Education, Rick Henry, blames Baltimore City Schools. The IG found City Schools Staff Investigations Unit lacks a written policy regarding self-incrimination, which potentially places employees at risk during internal investigations. Okay, what does that mean? Well, this lack of a written policy is known as a Garrity warning. It's very similar to Miranda rights that law enforcement read people before they get arrested. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. Garrity warnings are like that. And the IG's report raised major concerns among local, state, and federal prosecutors because the city did not read Garrity warnings to the people they investigated for Augusta Fells. And as a result of that, the prosecutors declined to pursue criminal charges.
It's a technicality, but so interesting. You wonder if they even knew about these warnings. Anything in the report that surprised you?
Well, about 1.5 years ago, Baltimore City Schools was told by the Inspector General, hey, this is a problem. You can't go to federal or state or local prosecutors because you don't have these Garrity warnings. And the IG said that he told Baltimore City Schools to implement them. That was 1.5 years ago. They still have not implemented the Garrity warnings. We just reached out to Baltimore City Schools, and it doesn't appear that they have any interest in doing it either. In a statement, we're going to have it tonight at 10, they say that they're going to stick with what they have because what they have they feel is working. But again, it's worth pointing out here that for 2 years, we did talk to many prosecutors who said there should be criminal charges here about what happened at Augusta Fells, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
But do you think the city's being deliberate and that?
So you're asking what is their reason for not doing the Garrity warnings?
Yes.
Well, I think a true skeptic may say, well, this is protecting themselves because they won't go to jail for anything that they do. City Schools is saying that our policy is holding people accountable. Right. Let's remember, City Schools had to pay back $350,000 to state taxpayers. Right. Because of kids that were enrolled who never should have been.
The ghost students.
The ghost students.
You talked to one. I remember that. He was incredible.
The one that was in jail when he was at the school. And many people are saying that is theft. You stole taxpayer money. You had to send it back, but the people that stole it will not be charged criminally.
All right. Chris, thank you. We'll look for more tonight at 10.
Thank you.
Now, Fox 45 has done extensive coverage on the state of Baltimore City Public Schools and other schools in the region. You can head to foxbaltimore.com/Project Baltimore to read all of our stories.
We now turn to exclusive reporting on Safe Streets. It's about our push for transparency on who works for the organization.
Despite Mayor Scott and his administration keeping Safe Streets workers' names private, Fox 45's investigation has uncovered one more, and this time he pled guilty to federal drug charges.
Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has been investigating Safe Streets for almost 2 years now. She joins us live with the latest finding. Mackenzie?
Mary and Kai, Vernon Harper lived in Pikesville and in 2022 pleaded guilty to federal drug charges relating to dealing in the same area he was working as a Safe Streets employee. And this is just the latest example of violence interrupters getting involved in criminal activity, all while City Hall stays quiet. The Brooklyn Safe Streets site is in a community hit by Baltimore's violence. According to Baltimore police data, 7 homicides in 39 shootings in Brooklyn alone so far this year, including the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting over the 4th of July holiday weekend. The Safe Streets location is supposed to use violence interrupters who are trusted in the community, trusted to help interrupt violence, prevent more bloodshed. In this indictment, federal prosecutors outline how a violence interrupter, Vernon Harper, was trying to sell drugs. According to prosecutor, Harper, also known as Diddy, traveled from his Pikesville home to Brooklyn, where Harper worked for Safe Streets, in order to sell narcotics to customers. In October 2022, Harper signed a plea agreement, pleading guilty to possession with intent to distribute fentanyl and cocaine. Fox 45 News questioning Mayor Brandon Scott if he knows of any Safe Streets workers committing crimes.
Listen, Mackenzie, we know that we have Safe Streets is a program where we hire folks who used to be in the illegal world and illegal life to go out after they corrected their life and corrected the way to stop other people from doing it.
But currently, any Safe Streets workers?
As I said, former Safe Streets workers were formerly involved in that life, and just like any other employee in any other industry, if we find out that folks are in that, whether they're a Safe Streets worker, whether they're a police officer, whether they're a Rec and Parks worker, we'll address that through law enforcement.
Should the public have any sort of knowledge of when current Safe Streets workers are charged with a crime?
Well, we know that court records in Maryland are public records. The same way.
But the names of the Safe Streets workers aren't.
The same way that we deal with individuals, and we've had it in the past, right? So this isn't anything new. I want the residents to know this. In the past, we've had folks who were working for Safe Streets before my administration still be involved, and those folks were handled criminally, and everyone knew.
But Vernon Harper and his criminal activity only coming to light now, and he's not alone. Ronald Alexander, seen here in a photo from a 2020 federal complaint, wearing a Safe Streets shirt, holding a bag of suspected drugs. He shamefully used his employment with Safe Streets to evade law enforcement and avoid arrest, the U.S. Attorney for Maryland said at the time. Alexander was sentenced in September of 2021 to more than 11 years in federal prison for distributing fentanyl, cocaine, and heroin in the city. Details of his case announced by the feds, not by leaders inside City Hall. And because the city refuses to provide names of Safe Streets workers, it's unclear if any other violence interrupters are involved in any illegal activity now. Now, Vernon Harper was released from federal prison just last month. We're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Vernon Harper has an extensive criminal record going back decades. In 1994, he was convicted of second-degree murder and handgun charges. He spent 18 years in prison before being released in 2013. In the years following his release, he's been charged with drug possession, possession of drug paraphernalia, and multiple traffic violations, including driving without a license. That brings us to our question of the day. Do you think Safe Streets needs to be more transparent on its hiring practices? We opened our poll an hour ago, and so far, 93% of those who voted say yes. To make your voice heard, go to foxbaltimore.com/vote.
Making headlines now, a 3-alarm fire overnight in East Baltimore. It happened inside a 2-story vacant home. This was along Bel Air Road in the Bel Air Edison neighborhood. Firefighters are now investigating the cause. There are talks to move the Preakness Stakes to 4 weeks after the
after the Kentucky Derby. Right now, it's held 2 weeks following the first leg of the Triple Crown. Now, according to First Racing and Gaming, that will give the horses more time to recover. If this happens, it means the Belmont Stakes will fall just a week after Preakness. And there's no indication right now that New York will adjust its time schedule.
In Harford County, the search continues for a suspect after the body of 37-year-old Rachel Morin was discovered Sunday afternoon.
The man who says his stepdaughter made that deadly discovery claimed her body was found in a tunnel drain not far from the trail's William Street entrance.
Rebecca Pryor is back near the trail with a message from Rachel's family today. Rebecca?
Yeah, last night, Rachel's family took to the Monpaw Trail. They walked it completely in honor of her, paying their respects, but along the way, they also left behind pieces of her. Take a look. Pictures of precious memories have been posted along the trees. In a social media post, the family is also encouraging the public to add to their display by laying flowers beside the trail. But while the family grieves and memorializes Rachel's life, police are continuing to investigate who took it. Today marks 5 days since Rachel went missing and 4 days since her body was found, and yet no suspects have been named. I spoke with former FBI agent Tyrone Powers about how long it's taking to make an arrest. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The further you get out from the investigation in the case, the more difficult it is to identify a suspect and put a case together. But I think they're a little further along than they are letting on at this particular point. In the field, we always say don't rush to judgment, no matter how much publicity you're getting, because then you may get the arrest, but you may lose the case.
Powers adds that police are likely trying to get any and all information that they can from suspects, because once those handcuffs are on, likely the cooperation between police and the suspects is off the table. Reporting live from the Monpaw Trail, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
An investigation ongoing in Harford County after the county executive is accused of wiretapping. The new emails we've obtained shedding some light on what's going on.
Smoke was filling our house and we had no choice but to evacuate. We had no time to grab anything.
Leaving everything behind, we take you to Hawaii next as catastrophic wildfires rage on.
COVID cases are rising, so should you get the current vaccine again or wait for the new one in the fall? I'm Liz Bonus. We explain what specialists want us to know just ahead.
And right now we're dealing with clusters of heavy rain and gusty winds around the state. I'll let you know when we get a break from the rain and what to expect for the weekend in my Weather Authority forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
The primary focus is to save lives and then to prevent human suffering and to mitigate great property loss.
People are dead as catastrophic wildfires continue raging across Hawaii's Big Island and Maui. Officials say hundreds, if not thousands, more people have been displaced. Hurricane winds are fueling those fires right now. Hundreds of homes and buildings have burned to the ground, many of them in the historic town of Lahaina. Officials asking people to leave the islands.
It was jammed, and I would say that it was more so sadness than panic.
Surreal, because that place existed my whole life. I grew up there. I grew up going there, and I would not expect it to just burn down in one night.
More than 130 National Guard members have been mobilized to help out with firefighting crews.
Let's take a look right now at the Fox 45 quad box. 2 Trump aides in court over his classified document trial. His property manager at Mar-a-Lago and another former aide were in court today in Florida. They face charges of conspiring to obstruct justice.
Overseas, a presidential candidate in Ecuador has been assassinated. It was during a campaign event. The assassin was shot and killed by police. 6 people have been arrested.
North Korea's military will step up war preparations. State media reports leader Kim Jong-un is also calling for increased weapon production. This comes as the United States and South Korea are getting ready for a combined military exercise.
President Biden set to ask Congress for more money for Ukraine. The $13 billion in emergency aid would come as Ukraine pushes a counteroffensive against Russia. Congress in November authorized more money for Ukraine.
Well, we appear to be in a bit of a summer surge in cases of COVID-19.
Yeah, a lot of people getting sick. So should you get the current vaccine or wait for the new one expected this fall?
Medical reporter Liz Bona shares what infectious disease specialists recommend.
Hey there, everybody. The newest coronavirus variant emerging right now in the U.S. is known as EG5. It now accounts for just under 20% of cases, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention.
It's a spin-off of the XBB strain of the Omicron family and is spreading so rapidly and changing it already has its own spin-off known as EG5.1. Dr. Stephen Blatt told me, well, overall, hospitalizations are considered low in most communities.
But, you know, we're running about 1 to 5 in our hospital system at any one time.
The most recent COVID data tracker shows they are up almost 13%. Since Pfizer and other vaccine manufacturers are saying the new vaccine to target the newer variants expected within weeks.
So I'm hoping that the manufacturers can ramp it up to be ready by mid-September.
The question is, if you're in a higher risk category, should you get the current vaccine available for protection or wait for the next one?
Well, I mean, I think that's going to be the question, is really who's going to benefit most from the new COVID vaccine.
Since the CDC hasn't made its recommendations yet for who should get this newer shot, Dr. Blatt says healthy people should likely wait for the new shot. But to avoid hospitalization, those with compromised immunity, those traveling to other countries, and those who are older may want to consider protection with the current vaccine now available.
Keep in mind, it takes about 2 weeks to build up immunity from this current vaccine. If you do think you need it now due to travel or other concerns, it is suggested you build in time for best protection. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. Back to you.
We are dealing with our latest weather maker, and that's leading to rain around the state. So we've got some areas of heavy rain in Elkton, and that extends down into the city. We are seeing some areas of heavy rain now starting to move a little bit closer to Towson. Within these clusters, we could have wind gusts up to 35, even 40 miles per hour. So make sure that if you have anywhere to be, you're grabbing the rain gear, and also check the radar before you head out. Current temperature is 80 over the harbor. It's a little breezy. Winds are out of the southwest, a little more humid. It feels hotter than those actual temperatures. We're seeing the 70s and the 80s, and right now we can actually hear that heavy rain over our studio. As we head into the evening and then the early night, the showers continue, but after that, back to dry weather. It looks good for the weekend. We'll stay mostly dry with temperatures on the rise. Then for Monday, we have our next chance for showers and storms. Notice on the future scan, We've got that chance for heavy rain, and that will continue over the next few hours. It does gradually taper, and by about 8, 9 o'clock, we're back to dry weather. We'll have mostly clear skies overnight, starting off tomorrow with dry weather, and then into the afternoon, it still looks pretty good. You will notice that it will be hotter with highs close to 90. After that, there's the chance for a few very spotty showers overnight, but we're back to dry weather for Saturday morning. The afternoon looks good, high temperatures in the low to mid 90s, and it's also going to feel a little bit more muggy, so make sure that you're practicing heat safety. We'll stay dry again on Sunday, and then it's Monday when we have the chance for a few spotty showers and storms. The day won't be a washout. After that, we stay mostly dry. Temperatures tonight drop to 67. After the rain, we clear. We're looking at a nice and dry day tomorrow with highs around 90 degrees. Winds will be out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. This is followed by 93 on Saturday and on Sunday. Then temperatures around 89 for Monday with the next chance for showers and storms. 89 again on Tuesday, then 87 close to average on Wednesday. After that, our temperatures will be in the low 90s on Thursday and will stay mostly dry. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. State transportation officials are reminding drivers about safety as kids head back to school, how they're hoping to prevent hundreds of crashes recorded every school year. If you're paying more for food, shelter, and electricity, you are not alone. The new inflation numbers and what they suggest.
We are now 2 days away from the Ravens' preseason opener against the Philadelphia Eagles. Who's playing and who's not? Coming up next on Sports Unlimited.
Football returns to M&T Bank Stadium this Saturday when the Ravens open the preseason against the Philadelphia Eagles. Rocco DeSangro joins us live in Owings Mills with more on who you can see on the field on Saturday. Usually not, the big guys, but we'll see some others.
Yeah, Mary, we're going to get to that in just a second. It's just about that time for these players that are on the field to hit someone other than themselves. That's coming up on Saturday, and you can kind of feel it in the air. There's a buzz for this team because they're ready to get out there on Saturday night. Saturday, they play the Philadelphia Eagles. They host them at M&T Bank Stadium. It's going to be great for the fans, great for the players who will actually play. As far as today's practice goes, Gus Edwards, the Ravens, got their running back on the field after he left Wednesday's practice early with the trainer, and that's big for a running backs room that's currently down J.K. Dobbins, but don't expect to see Gus Edwards on Saturday night against Philadelphia. Really, it's unlikely we'll see any big names in Saturday's tilt with the Eagles.
No Lamar for Saturday. As far as the game, kind of to your question, you won't be seeing any of the established starters in this game. Some of the young, if a guy's a real young starter, maybe he'll get a few reps, but none of the established starters.
So not seeing established starters on Saturday night's preseason opener, that's kind of expected. What wasn't expected, Marshawn Lynch and Ray Rice were out enjoying today's practice on the field. Lynch is the cousin of Josh Johnson, the quarterback who is in his third go-around with the Baltimore Ravens. We'll have more previewing the preseason and much more from Owings Mills coming up tonight on Sports Unlimited. For now, live in Owings Mills, Rocco DeSangro for Sports Unlimited.
Rocco, thank you. The Women's World Cup is back in action. Spain will take on the Netherlands tonight at 8. Watch all the action right here on Fox 45. You can catch Fox 45 News at 10 on the CW. Then you can catch Japan versus Sweden also here on Fox 45, a little early, 3:30 in the morning tomorrow. Fox 45 Early Edition will air on the CW Baltimore until about 5:30 a.m. Then they'll be back on Fox 45 after that match.
Her absence has been very heartfelt by the members of her community, particularly her school community and her friends and family.
It has been 2 weeks now since a Maryland teacher vanished. We head to Prince George's County next for the intense search. And Fox 45 News is investigating an alleged wiretapping in Harford County, the new emails that we have obtained. And today marks 3 years since a deadly explosion occurred in northwest Baltimore. Fox 45 News was on scene as one of the victims showed up. That powerful moment just ahead. Exactly 3 years ago today, a deadly explosion rocked a community in northwest Baltimore. The massive gas explosion leveled 3 row homes, killed 2 people, and left a number of others hurt.
While we were on the scene today, family of one of the victims showed up.
Alexa Ashwell was there as they paid tribute. She joins us live in studio now with questions that linger still today for some neighbors. Alexa?
Yes, Mary, neighbors question if the contractor who investigators say was doing the work that led to this blast was ever held accountable. Meanwhile, the family of the youngest victim gathered at the site today to honor him. Circled in prayer, the family of 20-year-old Joseph Graham gathered where the Morgan State University student's life was cut short 3 years ago today, after officials say faulty HVAC work on one of the homes here on Labyrinth Road in northwest Baltimore led to a massive explosion.
Baltimore City 911 operator.
Yes, ma'am. We need an ambulance and police.
Graham was sleeping inside one of the 3 townhouses leveled in the blast. He and a 61-year-old woman who was living in another one of the homes were killed. Several others were injured, and dozens of homes were damaged.
Everything blown out, just blown out. From that house down there, everything blown out. And then all you see is rubble. You look across the streets, nothing but rubble. I'm telling you, it looked like something out of a war movie.
Several months after the blast, the city announced the explosion was caused by natural gas that had built up in one of the homes after a contractor performed HVAC work there the night before.
A contractor working on an HVAC system at 4232 Labyrinth Road, which was a licensed contract, but we have not been able to find any proper permits for any work done at that address.
The gas, investigators say, turning into an ignition source when hours later someone turned on the stove, forever changing this neighborhood and countless families. The site, now an empty green space.
It's just important to remember his memory, to feel his spirit.
Graham's family today bringing flowers and releasing balloons. His mother here for the first time.
This healing journey and process, and I just thought it was important for me to come, so I can try to heal as much as I can. We'll never be all the way healed, but this year is about continuing the grieving process and continuing the journey of healing. That night, he was staying at a friend's house because sometimes he would just hang with his friends. So he actually just came from work. He worked at University Midtown campus. So he just decided to stay at his friend's house.
The mother missing her son's smile the most. 20 years old, in college and studying electrical engineering. A young life taken in an instant.
His smile, this morning, just looking at pictures, and I'm just like, wow, that was such a beautiful smile. His laughter, his humor, ambition.
Now, many neighbors were left footing the bill for the thousands of dollars in damages to their homes. I asked investigators if this contractor was ever cited for not having a permit. A spokesperson says they're looking into it. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. Happening right now, the Greenbelt Police Department is asking for the public's help in finding a missing Prince George's County teacher who's been missing for some 2 weeks now. Investigators say 60-year-old Miriam Torsilla was last seen Saturday on Lake Park Drive, that's in Greenbelt. She was reported missing on Sunday. Silla is an elementary teacher at Dora Kennedy French Immersion School. As of last week, police say they do not suspect foul play at this time.
I believe that somewhere out there, somebody who has seen her, knows where she is, and can provide important information as to her whereabouts. The longer that she is missing, the longer this search goes on, the greater our concern becomes that we will not be able to locate her in a safe manner.
If you have any information, you're urged to call the Greenbelt Police Department. Their number is at the bottom of your screen, 301-474-7200.
New details tonight in the illegal wiretap allegations against Harford County Executive Bob Casserly. Fox 45 has obtained correspondence between county officials which demanded a speedy probe of any and all emails between County Councilman Aaron Penman and 5 other people. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has details.
New evidence surfacing in the privacy debate between branches of Harford County government. Fox 45 News obtaining this email between two Harford County officials. Dated May 30th. I'm requesting any and all emails that Aaron Penman may have received to his Harford County government email box from the below individuals. The email says, listing 5 names, including Harford County Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor and former Harford County Executive Barry Glassman. If I could get this information as soon as possible, that would be greatly appreciated.
He overreached his authority.
Today, the councilman at the center of that probe, telling Fox 45 News this is the evidence he received, prompting his allegations that the county executive illegally monitored his communications, accusing him of spying on another branch of government. Penman and Casserly entangled in a very public political spat after the councilman accused the county executive's office of misusing money.
A claim that we've misappropriated $7 million is a pretty serious allegation. So my administration started investigating that.
In an exclusive interview with Fox 45 last week, Harford County Executive Bob Casserly shared his side.
All email servers are county property and they're subject to review by county officials. So that's what was done. It was a one-time snapshot.
Casserly claims what went on was legal and allowed.
There's no basis for anything, the complaints, the allegations of impropriety.
So you stand firm that there was nothing illegal done here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing illegal done here.
He declared it as a one-time thing. Only one person had, observed the actual emails, and it was a snapshot. And if you can see from that email, that snapshot was for the entire length of my term in office.
Today, Fox 45 News questioning Casserly's office about that directive, requesting any and all of Penman's emails. There was a one-time review of emails, and a total of 5 emails were reviewed. The county executive's office said in a statement, saying all of the emails searched are public record, subject to Freedom of Information Act requests. Once they were reviewed in private by a single individual and found to contain nothing related to the alleged misappropriation, they were destroyed. The content was never disclosed to the county executive. But this privacy debate is already having a ripple effect elsewhere.
I was deeply disturbed when I first heard about it.
In neighboring Baltimore County, County Council Chairman Julian Jones watching closely to see how things unfold.
And I think it's not a good idea and certainly unethical for the executive branch to spy on or rummage through emails of the legislative branch.
Baltimore County government and County Council communications also share a server. Today, a spokesperson for Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski telling Fox 45 News the administration does not engage in the practice of searching council members' correspondence. Regardless, Jones says what's happening in Harford County is prompting action to protect privacy.
Protect the legislative branch from the executive branch. We don't have anything in place, and we're taking a look at that now.
Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
As police continue to look for suspects in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting that killed 2 young people and left 28 others shot, there's concern a new law in the books could be hampering the investigation. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker joins us live in Baltimore to explain. Maxine.
Kai, Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates, he's pointing to one law specifically that he says may be making it more difficult for them to get information from all of the juveniles who may have witnessed or been involved in that Brooklyn Day mass shooting. Now, it's the Child Interrogation Protection Act he's talking about that limits child interrogations, requiring an attorney be consulted when a child is taken into custody and their parents or guardians notified. While advocates argue it's a necessary safeguard for young people, Baltimore City State's Attorney Bates says the law has given more rights to public defenders than parents, in some cases tying the hands of police.
But this is what I don't get. Even if the parent says, yes, we can talk to their son or daughter, a lawyer, and here lately it's the public defender. The public defender is saying you can't talk to my client. Of course, you know, they're not saying that we can talk to anyone.
They're jealously defending their client.
They're shutting it down. Matter of fact, I received an email from the public defender in Baltimore City, Ms. Capizello, reminding me what the law was. That's almost waving it in my face. Hey, you can't do this. So that's the mentality that they've now given to the public defenders in that office here in Baltimore City.
That was Bates on WBAL Radio, C4 and Brian Neiman Show. They also had on Mayor Scott this morning. They asked him about the Child Interrogation Protection Act. and if it's hampering the investigation. He admitted it's difficult to talk to all of the people involved because of their ages, but says it's a balance between young people's rights and accountability. Reporting live in Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Well, Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters as we continue to prepare you and your kids for the upcoming school year.
That's right. Drivers will soon be sharing the roads with school buses again, and there is a warning tonight about road safety.
That's right. Tom Rogers reports.
Less than 3 weeks until hundreds, if not thousands, of yellow buses will be hitting our roadways, and the Maryland Department of Transportation and Motor Vehicle Administration, they're warning drivers nearly 700 injuries occur around school buses every year. And joining us this morning with the importance of safety and the high cost of drivers who violate the laws, MDOT Administrator Chrissy Nizer.
Obviously, the lights on a bus, right? Treat them like a regular traffic light. If they're yellow, that means you need to prepare to stop. If they're red, obviously you need to stop. You know, regardless of the type of roadway, unless there's a median with grass physical divider, you need to stop both sides of the roadway, and I think that's where some people get confused.
And that's where you can get tickets, because a lot of school districts now have cameras on their buses, and they'll catch people blowing past the bus thinking, oh, well, I'm on the other side of the road. I don't see any children. I can go through it.
That's right, and so those fines start at $250. The law requires you to stop 20 feet back from a school bus to give that, safety zone for our children. But in addition to that, if an officer sees you, you can actually get points on your license, 3 points. So, it is the fines, but it is also license consequences, and it's because we want to keep our children safe. Obviously, it's our most important commodity, and so just slow down a little bit.
Nizer also said the MVA offices right along Route 140 in Westminster are now open and welcoming business just days after those massive power poles shut down portions of 140. Tom Rogers, Fox 45 News.
Fox 45 is your back-to-school headquarters. We're compiling all things busy parents need to get their kids ready for school. Click the QR code on your screen to check out all of the stories we've posted. A recall alert for organic kiwis, the brand being pulled from store shelves, and the reason why.
Why are American taxpayers still sending billions of dollars to Afghanistan? I'm Christine Frizzell on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers say they want some answers.
And we're keeping track of areas of heavy rain around the state. There's also the possibility of gusty winds. I'll let you know when we quiet down and what to expect over the weekend in my Weather Authority forecast.